So you clicked this video because you wanted to say, that's not how you build this table, Taylor. You don't put a dowel screw and glue and spin this thing for infinity till it just seals shut. Tell me in the comments below how you're a better woodworker than me and I'll probably believe you. Okay, so it's pretty basic. Just drill a hole right in the center here. This is the bottom of the tabletop, and that's gonna be the center before you spin your circle. I just screwed that screw in right there, right in the center, just like I said. Spin around, whoops, hit your drill. Try it again, spin all the way around. Whee! Pretty easy. So the center, all you see on that screw is 1 inch off the edge of that little stick. And then from that screw to that hole that I drilled should be 17.5 inches, which is your radius. So it should give you a 35-inch circle when I go to spin it here. Get that pencil, hold it straight up and down. Don't wiggle it side to side because you want a perfect circle, or as perfect as you can get. Spin it all the way around with the sharp pencil. You can see that line come across here. Just miss the edges. Perfect. So these two slabs that I just slammed down and busted your ears out really hard, these are gonna be the top and bottom of the drum that the fluting is gonna wrap around. So right now I'm just finding the middle of this panel, middle that way, drill a hole, a little pilot hole. And the same thing, I'm gonna create my little radius here at the stick. I believe for this radius I did 14 inches, so it turned a 28-inch round for top and bottom. Let's see. Sure enough, that's what I did. Drill a little pilot hole, spin it around. There goes the pencil, fits within that square perfectly. And then I clamped them down because the whole point of this is you want the top and bottom of your drum to be the exact same size. So I clamped them down, and guess what I'm gonna do next? Yep, sure enough, I'm gonna screw it down. Screw, 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 and now it's screwed. Just like I said I was gonna do, and I did it. Can you guys hear that bandsaw okay? I sure can. Sure is loud. I'm the one who was right next to it. Did I have headphones on? I can't tell. All I can see is my double chin making its way through. I believe I had headphones on. I'd be crazy not to have some sort of ear muffage on. Yep, you can see the earmuffs on right there on my ear right there. So here is that panel, the two panels that I just screwed together, going right through this bandsaw, and it just slices through that like a hot knife through butter. Not actually, really, because that saw is starting to get kind of dull. But as you can see, it's the top and bottom of the drum that I just screwed together. And as I hit it to the bandsaw, I'm not hitting the line with that saw, but I'm trying to stay as close as I can without hitting the actual line itself. You can see it's starting to take shape now, starting to cut away those angles, starting to drop some panels. Whoa, now I'm over here. So this block right here, they're each 1.25 inches thick, but stacked on top of each other and screwed together. They're 2.5 inches. So making these turns isn't really that easy on a bandsaw like this. You gotta take your time. You can see the saw marks right by my hand there. You gotta go nice and slow. Anyway, you get the picture. Right after the bandsaw, we're gonna take it right to this edge sander, which has 80 grit sandpaper, going about 100 miles an hour. And the whole reason we didn't cut right on the line on the bandsaw is you wanna be able to see this line of the circle as you take it to the edge sander. And you just keep turning it slowly, and eventually it goes right to that line and you have a perfect circle. Most expensive part of this whole project is in this box. I believe it's around $450, and it is the fluting that is going to complete the drum. Before you say don't do what you're about to do, trust me, I've done it once before and it was fine. So what I'm doing right now on the table saw is I'm setting this width to 15.25 inches because that's as wide as I need these slats. And now look, I'm already doing it. It's too late to tell me to stop. Probably not the smartest thing to do, but I wanted a nice straight cut for all these pieces. And I want them all to be exactly the same because they all have to be the exact same height as I wrap them around the drum. Push it all the way through. My life flashed before my eyes a little bit. No big deal. I'm gonna take this next slab over here. He's gonna do the same thing. You're gonna watch this fluting buckle and you're gonna watch me pucker because it was not a fun feeling when this thing starts to slide out a little bit. Luckily, it's a saw stop. Shout out to Saw Stop. They make the best equipment in the world. Because if I were to put my finger through there, it would stop immediately. You can see me slamming this thing down like an idiot, barely passing it through. Great. There's 2 cuts, and I need 3 total. You can see a little slat right on the edge. I want to cut that thing off perfectly. I don't want to cut through one of those flutings just a little bit because I don't want to leave this flat spot on the fluting. So I'm trying to cut that little slab off. You see it on the right side perfectly so it doesn't mess with the fluting on the left side. Let me tell you, this was also very scary. Oh, put your finger closer to it, you moron. See what happens. So you want to put... you imagine how I feel watching that. So you want to push it down and push through it, and there goes the zipperooski. Could have been my finger. He's going to do another one. Like I said, 3 total. 3 times my life flashed before my eyes. Get that perfect, Taylor. Get that slat. Turn that thing on zippity-doo-dah. Here it comes. Look, it's buckling again. Makes me feel really safe. Pass it through. Congratulations. 1 more to go before you slice your wrist. Here's the last one. What am I doing? Look at it moving. Whatever. Look at my hand. Try this at home. So I've got my top and bottom of the drum still screwed together, but I wanted to see how these 3 slats that I just cut on the table saw, stupidly, would fit around the drum. Now I know there's going to be a little bit left over. Okay, there's going to be a lot left over. As you can see, the excess is going right around there. So all I had to do is get a pencil out, mark out which slat I have to cut to make it fit to be this perfect circle. Which one is it going to be? It's going to be that one right there. Wait, that one? Was it that one? Let me check again. Yep, it's that one right there that I already marked. Yep. I trimmed up that last piece, and as I fit it around, you can see there's just a little bit of a gap on that left side, but that's okay, because what we ended up doing is just sanding that same drum back down to just maybe a few millimeters, and that fluting will fit perfectly. Now Taylor is making lines straight up and down on this drum, so he knows that where it fits together when there's a space in between, if that makes sense. So you can see I have some indicators there, C, C. I went all the way around and made 4 marks, A, B, B, C, C, D, D. And this is kind of hard to explain, so maybe I'll just let you watch it. Okay, I'll explain it. So these sticks are going to go in between the drum. And I want to draw a perfectly straight line that's in the middle of that block. That way it can line up with the indicators CC that you can see right there, CCC. So that line right there will line up perfectly with CC. So when you go top to bottom, you know exactly where it lines up. Because since there's a 15-inch gap, you don't want the top to be a little left of the bottom of right, or you don't want this thing to be somewhat sideways when you put it together. So this helps me just keep it somewhat uniform when I go to put the fluting around. All right, now we're just unscrewing the top and bottom of the drum. Kind of an important part because once you take it apart, you can't put it back together perfectly. Right now, they're 2 perfectly symmetrical circles that I drew, cut, and sanded down with the bandsaw, and that the fluting is going to fit around perfectly. Back to doing that part that I said I would do earlier, but now it's later. So there are those blocks that I drew with the straight lines going up through. I'm going to mark it on, I don't know what side that is. Could be either side. Could be the A side, could be the B side. But just finding the center of that block and lining up the center of that block to the line that I drew on the top and the bottom of the drum. Really important part. As you can see, I get the glue now. I'm going to find a way to cement this thing down with some wood glue, cement it down on that line, and get it nice and strong. The wood glue is stronger than wood and screw itself. So getting a good seal is really important when you're putting this thing together. Okay, so with these miniature posts glued in and clamped down, I thought I'd do a little pre-drilling and get some screws in there. I don't want these things to be swaying side to side when I go to put the top on. I want it just to be solid. So I thought some wood glue, some clamps would keep it straight. Then I go to put some screws in, it'll keep it really solid. So I put one screw on either side of these little posts, and then I put one through the bottom as well that I forgot to include in this video. But a screw coming up through the bottom is going to keep that thing real rock solid. It's not going to move at all once you go put the top on. Here's a little moment of truth. As I go to put this fluting around, here's my 3 slats that I cut stupidly on the table saw right there. And those slats are 15¼ inches tall, going around the drum. What I didn't include in the video is how I attach those other posts, but it's pretty simple. I used the screws from when I originally screwed the whole thing together and just lined up the post on some of those and screwed it from the top and the bottom. So it's a very sturdy drum. I had about 5 or 6 posts directly screwed in. Now what you can't see on bottom is this camouflage ratchet strap. Since it's camouflage, it's really hard to see, but there's a ratchet strap on top as well. And this is really the only way to get this fluting around here perfectly tight. It's gonna hold your fluting in tight as you put the glue around, which I didn't show, but the glue is on the top and the bottom of each ridge of this drum. And as I clamp it around with these 2 ratchet straps, the glue adheres to the felt on the fluting, and I drove a pin nail in about every 12 slats just to keep the wood to wood while that glue dried. Believe it or not, we're actually done with the drum side of this coffee table. Right now I'm just running that 35-inch diameter top of this coffee table through this drum sander. And as I turn it, as you can see, that bottom left crank, each full turn closes this gap by about a 32nd of an inch. So you're taking about a 64th of an inch off this table each time you run it through this drum sander. This just gets it perfectly flat, perfectly smooth before you go to do hand sanding. Now you don't have to do this, but if you're still watching this video, thanks for watching. That's really nice of you. But what I'm doing here is just adding a little water to the tabletop. It just raises the grain up before you hand sand it. Not a bunch of water, just a little bit. Okay, so this is the bottom of the top of the tabletop, if that makes any sense. But this is the side that has the hole in it right in the center, where at the beginning of the video, we drilled a screw in and drew our circle. Whoa, what am I reaching for here? A chisel. You're gonna need a chisel for this next part. If he's doing what I think he's about to do, yep, he's doing it. So you can see he's smearing what looks to be like a Play-Doh substance. Well, it's not Play-Doh, you dummy. It's called wood filler. It's a product by Famo Wood, F-A-M-O-W-O-O-D. And they have all kinds of blends of wood filler. This is specifically made to match alder wood. So what the wood filler does, you can see I'm putting it in between the joint lines where these 2 boards were joined up. When you go to glue up a tabletop like this and you go board to board, sometimes the glue doesn't sit perfectly or the boards aren't perfectly parallel to each other, so it leaves a little bit of a gap between. But what you can do is you add that wood filler in between, and it looks like a totally different color now, but when you go to add it and it dries to the color pretty much of alder. All right, it's time to start sanding this thing. I always start my tabletops at 120 grit sandpaper and work my way up to 180, then to 220 right before I apply the finish. Now I'm just finishing up the tabletop with 180 grit sandpaper, and you can see the wood filler in the knots has dried. It matches the color of the tabletop, and we're about ready to apply some finish. Now I'm into one of my least favorite parts about woodworking. Just kidding, it's my favorite. But people always ask me, Taylor, do you apply finish to all sides of your furniture? Do you apply it to the bottom sides? And that's a really good question. All right, so anyways, you can see as I dip my paintbrush or my paint roller into polyurethane matte finish, and I just attack the top of this tabletop. You can see the color sinks in beautifully. I use polyurethane matte finish, water-based, because it's the finish that keeps it closest to looking more natural colored. People tend to like the natural wood color, and this is the only product I can use that keeps it looking somewhat natural. You're watching this probably thinking, hey, Taylor, you're missing spots. Let me tell you something. I'm not missing any spots. I'm hitting all the spots like I should. And even if it looks like it's dry, it's not. But thanks, Daryl, for your comment on your last video. After that first coat, I wait about half an hour, then I sand it down with a 220 grit sandpaper and get it ready to apply another coat. There it is right there, that second coat that I was telling you about. With this being a coffee table and getting a lot of high use, you can get spills from coffee or wine, and you want as much protection on there as possible. Now Taylor is just putting a dowel screw right through the top of the drum. A dowel screw is just a dual threaded screw. It screws right into the bottom and it's going to screw right into the top. If you don't like it, you don't have to buy it, but thanks for watching it. Here is some 800 grit sandpaper. If you didn't believe me, I put it in slow motion so you would. For the last sanding I do of this tabletop, I do the whole thing at 800 grit. Take your time doing it. It makes it really soft, really smooth. It's going to be a beautiful finish. And now it's time for the unclamping of this fluted table. You can now barely see that camouflage as it makes an appearance on the bottom screen there. And here comes the top strap off. That fluting is as strong as a rock. Blow the dust off it, Taylor, because guess what you're gonna do next? Wet wood glue? This is the part where I'm pretty sure everyone hates me. Taylor, this isn't how you do it. Well, guess what? This is how I do it every 2 times that I've done this, and none of the 2 people have ever complained. Here we go. Spin that thing on there, find the center. It's heavy. Take your time, get it, spin it, love it, twist it, bop it, flick it, fling it. This is the part where I start playing the music, so I'm about to walk on out of here. I just feel it and walk around the camera just for dramatic effect. I know what it looks like. I made this a few times. Hey, if you watch this whole thing, thanks a bunch. I really appreciate it. I'm about to show you, give a look-see around you right here. I'm gonna pick up the camera, super unprofessional. There I am. This is what this thing looks like. 17 inches tall, 35-inch diameter on the top with about probably 27-inch diameter on the bottom. Thanks so much for watching. If you feel like I've earned your subscription, please subscribe. Really appreciate it. You can buy it. You can put it in your home if you want. My wife and I started our own furniture company. It's called palmyrahome.com. You can find us on Instagram, Palmyra, Palmyra, home, Home. Thank you so much.